friends. I hope you're doing well. So, we are back with another Ice Rink story for you. This one in particular is about a certain customer. It was one of the figure skating moms. So, the figure skating moms were all kind of their own unique brand of crazy. Because there was that basic figure skating was very expensive, because if you wanted to be good at it, your kid had to come, probably for 2 hours a day to skate. So they'd often come in the morning and at night, and then a lot of the time they had a lesson either like every day or close to every day. So I'm guessing the moms are probably paying, at least $30 a day, to get their kid out to come get on the ice, just in ice fees, and then whatever their coach cost, which, if their coaches were probably costing 30, 40, 50 bucks an hour. So, you're talking like $100 a day. So, they're fairly well off women for the most part. But there was one woman in particular. Well, I'll share a brief story. Was one of the moms was going through a divorce, I guess. Or maybe she wasn't. I don't know. She just wasn't happy at home. But she had 2 kids skating. So you can imagine how much that costs. You're talking, $200 a day or something insane like that. And so we had punch cards for the skating time. So you would buy 10 hours of ice at a time, and it was cheaper that way. And I think those were it was like $12 an hour. But if you bought the punch card, it was more like $10 an hour. So the savings did add up over the course of a year, especially if you're skating, twice a day. So, one of the moms, I guess, propositioned me, for lack of a better term, which that's one of she wasn't she wasn't amazingly gorgeous or anything, but she wasn't terrible looking. And it is, as wrong as it sounds, one of my regrets in life is not taking her up on it, if only for the story. I mean, I guess that the story's pretty good that it still happened at all, that she propositioned me for that. But a tiny part of me was like, man, that would be a really good story. But, I'm a good human, and I was like, no, I can't do that, because that's basically stealing. Anyway, she was nice. She meant well. I don't think she was going through hard times money-wise, because her kids kept skating even after. I'm pretty sure she got divorced. So I don't know how that all shook out. She was very nice, though. I liked her a lot. We used to talk shit on all the other figure skating moms. Maybe she just thought I was handsome and cute, because I am. Not really. Anyway, so the one customer that I do want to talk about, there's a lot of stories, and they're just kind of starting to funnel in. But so she had these 2 little wiener kids. So imagine Rod and Todd from The Simpsons. If you watch The Simpsons, Rod, and they were very much like that. Except instead of being hardcore Christians, they were ultra Orthodox Jews. So that was kind of it was just a Jewish Rod and Todd. It was very Mom says we can't have sugar and all that stuff. And the woman was the most Karen, just awful people. And these kids were they had ADHD for sure, because they were just super hyperactive. And a lot of the time, she would just drop these kids off and then go fuck off to the bar. And so these kids were just hyperactive, and they were definitely both under 10. I don't know how old they actually were. But so some stories I remember, it's just they'd come up and just talk to me, and I'm just ugh. Which, Rod and Todd are cute, but that's in The Simpsons. It's limited doses. Whereas these kids was every day. And what happened is they would have their ice time with their coach at 3 o'clock, and then they would be in the off-ice training, which one coach taught to 10 or so kids, but that wasn't until 6 o'clock. So they'd have their hour on the ice till 4 o'clock, and I was basically their free babysitter, I guess, for another 2 hours, like every day. So, a little annoying. We hated this woman for doing that to us. And so, we're not babysitters. We're not watching your kids. If they're gonna hurt themselves, I don't care. I don't get paid enough for this. I barely get paid what a babysitter gets paid to do all my actual job responsibilities. Watching your kids is not on that list. So, one time, this kid somehow found a broken hockey stick and was just tearing around the rink with it, just running around with it, just having a good old time. And some of the little figure skaters who were a little older, were like 15, 16, like, what came up to me and were like, should he have that? And I'm like, they do not pay me enough to deal with this. Like, where's his mom at? And they'd be like, she is never here. I'm like, yeah, like, I'm not the babysitter. Like, if the kid hurts himself, he's gonna learn a lesson. Tough love, right? So the kid ended up somehow running and then thinking he was gonna do like a pole vault move, and it ended up just spearing himself with the blunt end of it and just knocked the wind out of him. And I just remember just hearing him like I don't, it's like Letterkenny. Like, I don't give a shit about your kids. I can watch kids falling off bikes all day long, So, I don't know if that makes me a bad person. I hope not. But, like, parents, watch your kids. The ice rink employee is not the babysitter. So, anyway, the interesting thing about this woman, the real interesting story is, she had a husband. I don't know what he did for a living. He'd come sometimes. It turns out the big drama was that this woman either the whole time was bisexual or was a lesbian from the jump. And she and another figure skating mom started having an affair. And that's why they would both drop their kids off and go. They would go to the bar or they would go somewhere and have adult time. And the crazy thing was, so this other mom had moved to town recently and then they started things. She had come from California, and her husband had stayed behind to sell the house, and then he was going to move here. But here's the really messed up part. The Karen in the situation. Saying Karen's weird because my mom's name is Karen and my mom's a lovely person. So, fun fact, not all Karens are evil. Anyway, so the Karen in this situation, whose name I don't even remember, she convinced this other woman to leave her husband, to have a pact. They were going to leave their husbands together, but they were going to wait until the husband in California sold the house so that it would be easier to split the assets. The other woman, the second woman, convinced her husband to move to Nebraska so that they could be around her family, but I guess had already decided that she was going to divorce him. So I don't know if that guy was a bad man. He might have been an abuser or something. Probably not if you let her come back, But like, even if he was a terrible human, like that is the craziest. And supposedly the guy was like a California highway patrol officer. And so one day, both those women just stopped showing up. And we used to always, like, I'm not going to say joke, but we used to start the rumor between each other, like, that husband came and found out and murdered everybody. And we just never heard about it. So, that is probably one of the most dramatic ice rink stories that I can think of. Was the illicit lesbian affair with the figure skating moms and their eventual absconsion, for lack of a better term. I don't know what to say. So yeah, I never found out what happened. I always kind of, sometimes it comes up, like, it actually just, when I was like sitting down thinking about Ice Rink Stories, I was like, oh yeah, remember that woman that we hated? And then I was like, oh yeah, you remember that story? So I was real excited to talk about it. But now I'm gonna probably think about it every couple months, be like, I want to know what really happened. Anyway, there is your Ice Rink story for the whatever, for the day, the week, whatever. I've got quite a few more, and more of them are coming up, and I kind of rekindled friendship with one of the other employees, so I'm gonna pick her brain because she actually married. She met her husband at the ice rink. He also worked at the ice rink. So once kind of COVID dies down, we'll probably have dinner together and chat about old ice rink stories, and I'll bet you a flood of them will come back. So interesting side note: the guy she married's dad was like the general manager of the place, right? And he allegedly embezzled a couple $1 million from the ice rink. But that's a story for another day. Boom, cliffhanger. You're welcome. So, I'll talk about that. I gotta remember all the details. Because it was a long time ago. Anyway, I hope you're doing well. And if not, well, I hope that turns around for you. As always, thank you so much for watching. Hit the like button, leave some comments, do the subscribe thing, all the YouTube stuff. And I'll see you next time. Have a good one.